The Forbidden Grimoire of Sacred Healing. Introduction. You hold in your hands a mystery once hidden in vaults of silence. These words were not meant for all, but for the ones who could hear beyond the surface of sound. They were guarded, whispered only in candlelit chambers where the chosen gathered. Tonight, they arrive to you, not by accident, not by chance. The grimoire has found its listener, and it begins to speak again. There is a field where memory and matter embrace, where vibration writes upon the flesh. You have felt it in moments you could not explain, when music healed your grief, when a whisper stilled your heart, when silence itself answered your prayer. This is that field, the place where words become medicine, where sound becomes structure, where healing awakens from its sleep. Here you are invited to step inside. The path is older than language, yet it speaks through every tongue. It is the art of calling cells to remember harmony. The ancients knew this truth. It's not your thoughts, it's your agreement with them. They knew the body listened, always. They knew the soul responded to tone, rhythm, and breath. And they knew that those who remembered this secret could shape reality as clay beneath their hands. You have come not only to learn, but to remember. For memory is the true gate of healing. What your ancestors whispered is already inside your blood. What healers once sang is waiting inside your breath. You are not late. You are right on time. These ancient words do not enter you as strangers. They are returning home. There is an urgency here, a quickening in the unseen. The world aches for restoration. The body you inhabit calls for alignment. The soul you carry longs to be unveiled. This is not just a book. It is a signal, a code, a vibration that moves through sound into marrow, through rhythm into spirit. And as you hear, you are changed. Listen slowly, breathe gently. Allow the vibration of each word to sink deeper than your mind, deeper than your doubt, deeper than your story. This is your remembering. This is your activation. Stop asking the universe. Start becoming the signal. The grimoire is open. Its light is upon you. Its words are alive. Tonight, the healing begins. Chapter 1. The Hidden Book of Healing. There are books that rest on shelves, and there are books that breathe. This one was never meant for ordinary eyes, for it was written in symbols that shift like living flame. The grimoire does not sit silent. It hums, it vibrates, it speaks in whispers to the soul. Those who found it were chosen by resonance, not by chance. To open it was to step into a temple woven from words. The ancients knew knowledge was both gift and burden. Power could build or destroy, so they guarded these pages with fierce devotion. Only those whose hearts carried reverence could receive its light. To misuse the book was to fall into shadow, for the same words that healed could also harm. This truth was carved into the margins as a warning. Approach with purity or leave untouched. The book's presence was said to alter the air around it. Healers described feeling warmth rise from its pages, like a hidden fire. Some swore that their wounds closed when a single line was spoken aloud. Others claimed the mere sight of its letters erased despair from their minds. Whether fable or fact, one thing remained certain. The grimoire carried medicine beyond the reach of hands. Imagine now that the book rests before you, closed yet alive. Its cover is plain, yet it pulses faintly with a rhythm older than time. Every line inscribed within was once sung into matter, forged from vibration itself. These are not words to be read like history, but words to be entered like a dream. The text does not inform, it transforms. Why was it forbidden? Because not every seeker was ready. To read it without devotion was to awaken forces one could not command. Like fire in untrained hands, the book could consume. The elders said healing was never technique, it was trust. and the grimoire entrusted its voice only to those who listened with the ear of the heart. Legends tell of a monastery hidden by storms, where the book was guarded through centuries. Only at night by oil lamps, initiates would gather in silence to hear it spoken. No quill ever copied its words, for they believed transcription stole its spirit. Instead, the book was alive through oral breath, passed from soul to soul, echoing across generations. Now the grimoire rises again, not in stone halls, but in your very being. The secret once concealed in mountains now awakens in your breath. You are the initiate chosen to listen in this moment. No locks, no keys, only willingness opens this door. The hidden book is not far. It beats inside your chest, waiting for you to remember. Healing, it whispers, is not something you acquire. It is a covenant you recall. The book teaches not through diagrams but through vibration that stirs memory. Every cell in you already knows the way home, and the words only remind. To approach the grimoire is to awaken what was never lost. In truth, it is your mirror, and so the first page turns within you now. The ink glows softly as sound prepares to enter bone and breath. The forbidden is no longer distant. It breathes in your presence. This is the opening of a gate, the remembering of a path, the stirring of a fire, long waiting. The hidden book has spoken, and it speaks through you. Chapter 2. The language of the body. The body is not silent. It is a library written in flesh and light. Each heartbeat is a drum, each cell a keeper of memory older than your name. Within you, stories unfold that no book has captured. When you ache, the body is speaking. When you heal, it is answering its own forgotten song. Across the ages, healers knew that sound-shaped matter. They spoke chants into wounds, songs into fevers, syllables into despair. The vibration did what hands could not. It reminded the body of its original design. They believed illness was not punishment, but a distortion of harmony. Words were the tuning fork that restored the lost melody. Imagine your cells leaning close to hear every sound you allow. A word of anger makes them contract. A whisper of love makes them expand. They are listening not only to your outer voice, but to the inner dialogue you repeat daily. This is why the grimoire insists. It's not your thoughts, it's your agreement with them. Ancient tongues carried syllables designed for the flesh, Sanskrit mantras, Hebrew prayers, Mayan incantations, all vibrated with geometry that touched the body deeply. These were not simply languages, they were codes, tones crafted to resonate with bone and marrow. The body responded not to meaning alone, but to resonance. It listened beyond intellect. Consider how modern science now whispers the same truth. Studies reveal how sound reorganizes water molecules, how intention alters the heartbeat. The body, mostly water, is an ocean waiting to be stirred. Each word you speak ripples across its tides. To curse yourself is to poison your sea. To bless yourself is to cleanse it. The grimoire invites you to speak as healers once spoke. Say aloud words that bring warmth, harmony, light, wholeness. Whisper them into your skin as if writing upon clay. Let your cells hear gratitude as often as they hear complaint. With repetition, they begin to sing back, and the symphony of healing awakens. Do not think of words as mere tools. Think of them as bridges between unseen and seen. They connect the soul's memory to the body's present state. Every sentence is an offering, every phrase a prayer. When spoken with awareness, language becomes medicine finer than any herb. The invitation is simple yet profound. Treat every word as a seed. What you plant in your body will grow in its silence. Speak peace, and the nervous system softens. Speak renewal, and tissues respond. The tongue carries a hidden flame, and the body follows its light. Healing begins here, in the speech of the everyday. And so you realize the body was never your enemy. It was always your most faithful listener, echoing the vibration of your inner world. The language of the body is not foreign, it is intimacy itself. To honor it is to awaken it. To awaken it is to heal. Tonight, let it hear words that restore its forgotten song. Chapter 3. Breath, the first prayer. Before language was born, breath already prayed. The inhale carried life in, the exhale released it back to the unseen. Each moment of breathing is a covenant between you and existence itself. To forget the breath is to drift from the center. To remember, it is to return to the temple within. The grimoire teaches that every breath is sacred rhythm. Not random, not mechanical, but a chant given freely by the divine. To inhale consciously is to receive blessing. To exhale consciously is to surrender weight. When done with awareness, the body softens, the mind clears, and the soul becomes audible again. Ancient mystics knew this and guarded it like treasure. They taught disciples to breathe in patterns that purified, restored, and awakened. In caves, deserts, and temples, seekers learned to ride the wave of breath into silence. Breath was not survival, it was transformation. Each cycle was a doorway, each pause an initiation. Imagine your breath now as golden light entering with each inhale. It moves through your chest, your belly, your bones. With the exhale, imagine shadows leaving, old fear, stagnant memory, doubt. Slowly, the body begins to glow as it receives and releases, remembers and renews. You are already praying without words. The grimoire reminds, breathe as your ancestors breathed, consciously, reverently. They inhaled as if drawing in the stars, exhaled as if offering incense to eternity. Their breath was devotion, not routine. And through that devotion, their bodies became strong vessels of spirit. Breath was their anchor in chaos, their compass in darkness. Modern seekers may chase techniques and rituals, but this key has never changed. Breath is the bridge that needs no translation. You cannot mispronounce it, you cannot forget its syllables. It waits for your awareness, ready to carry you home. Healing begins when breath is honored as prayer, not task. Notice how breath unites opposites, life and death, stillness and motion, inner and outer. Each inhale affirms, each exhale releases. The body learns balance through this eternal exchange. To breathe consciously is to align with the universe's rhythm. You become both ocean and tide, both wind and shore. When fear rises, the breath grows shallow. When trust returns, the breath deepens. This is no accident. It is a mirror. The way you breathe is the way you live, and by changing the rhythm, you alter the state of being. The grimoire calls this the forgotten prayer of the body. So let your next inhale be different, slow, luminous, alive. Let your exhale carry away what no longer serves. In this act, you join the chorus of every being that has ever lived. Breath, the first prayer, still echoes through time. Tonight, let it carry you into healing's embrace. Chapter 4. The Sacred Vibration of Words. From the dawn of time, sound has carved patterns into the unseen. A single note can tremble stone, a whisper can soothe the restless heart. Words are not merely carriers of meaning. They are forces that shape matter itself. Each syllable carries a frequency, each phrase a ripple. When spoken with intention, words become architects of reality. Ancient healers did not speak casually. They chose their sounds as carefully as they chose herbs. They believed every utterance struck the body like a bell, rearranging its inner chords. Chants were repeated not for drama, but for resonance. The vibration became a seed planted in bone and water. In time, harmony bloomed. Think of the sacred syllables whispered in temples across the earth. Om, Amen, Awen. Different tongues, same essence. each one a key that unlocked hidden doors within the listener. These words did not just rise into air, they sank into marrow, reshaping what they touched. Sound became medicine, timeless and immediate. Modern science now echoes what was once myth. Experiments show sound frequencies creating intricate geometry in water and sand. The ancients knew this without instruments. They saw the patterns in vision, in ritual, in the very changes within the sick who were healed. Words did not describe truth, they generated it. The grimoire insists that words are alive. They are sparks of vibration clothed in sound. To speak healing is to awaken life within silence. To curse is to fracture harmony. The body, ever listening, responds in kind. Every phrase you release becomes a thread woven into your own flesh. Consider the way you speak to yourself in hidden hours. Do your words carry warmth, or do they cut like cold steel? Self-speech is the most constant chant you ever perform. To heal is to consecrate your language, to make every word a blessing upon your own temple. Imagine now speaking into the air before you. Whisper light and feel your chest expand. Whisper wholeness and sense your cells awaken. Each word you choose becomes a key, opening chambers within that have long been closed. This is not imagination. It is remembrance of how creation itself began. The grimoire teaches, let sound be your sculptor. See words as vibrations carving rivers in the stone of your being. Each utterance is a brushstroke across your soul's canvas. Healing is not outside. It is in the resonance you allow to echo through your body. So let this truth sink deeply. Words are not shadows but flames. They are sacred vibrations sent to awaken what sleeps within you. Use them as instruments, not weapons. Tonight, as you listen, may every word become a chord of restoration. And in that chord, may your body remember harmony once more. Chapter 5. The Secret of Water. Water has always been more than a drink, more than a river flowing under the sun. It is the mirror of vibration, the scribe of words, the listener of prayer. Wherever ancient healers gathered, they spoke blessings into bowls, fountains, and streams. They believed water carried memory like glass holds light. And they were right. Legends tell of wells whispered over at dawn, where villagers came to drink courage and healing. The words spoken into the water were not lost. They rippled through every drop, waiting to be received. To drink became a ritual of communion, not just survival. In this way, water became a holy archive of intention. Science, too, reveals the mystery hidden in plain sight. Crystals of water change shape according to sound and thought. Beautiful forms arise when words of love are spoken, while jagged shapes appear with words of hatred. The ancients did not need microscopes to know this. They felt it in their bones. They trusted the reflection of truth. Your body, mostly water, listens as rivers listen. Every cell is a drop, every vein a stream. When you speak, when you think, when you believe, the waters within shift and respond. This is why words can make you feel heavy as stone or light as sky. You are a walking ocean, stirred by vibration. The grimoire instructs, speak gently to your water. Bless the glass before you drink. Whisper gratitude into the food that carries moisture. These are not empty gestures. They are activations, infusions of frequency into your body's tides. With each blessing, you remind your cells that they belong to light. Imagine holding a cup now, clear and still. As you whisper purity, feel the water glow. As you whisper healing, see it ripple with unseen patterns. When you drink, the words become flesh, flowing into your bloodstream, shaping your reality from within. This is not magic, it is remembrance. Rituals across cultures knew this truth. Baptisms, sacred baths, river ceremonies, all honored water as the element most faithful to intention. It receives, It remembers, and it delivers. What is spoken over water is never erased. It becomes part of its endless cycle through cloud, rain, stream, and body. You may think your voice small, but the waters hear. The ocean itself stirs with the collective language of humanity. Each prayer, each chant, each curse leaves its trace. Yet the invitation remains. You can choose what you contribute to the great tide. Healing begins when your words ripple peace into the waters around you. So tonight, remember that water is listening. Speak as if every drop in your body waits for a song. Let your words be clear, let them be luminous, let them be kind. The secret of water is no longer hidden. It flows in you, it flows through you, and it will answer to the vibration you give. Chapter 6. Fire, the purifying flame. Long before books and temples, people gathered around fire. Its light drew them close, its warmth kept them alive, and its flames became the language of transformation. To gaze into fire was to look into the face of mystery. The ancients believed every spark was alive, carrying both destruction and renewal in a single breath. Healers used fire as more than warmth. They whispered into its blaze, offering sickness to be consumed and prayers to be lifted. Ashes were seen not as remains but as proof that change had taken place. Fire became the sacred alchemist, turning what was heavy into what was light. Nothing offered to it returned the same. Legends speak of ceremonies where flames were fed with herbs and chants. The smoke was believed to rise, carrying words to the invisible realms. Each flicker was a messenger, each ember a witness. Communities gathered not just for comfort, but for purification. Knowing the fire cleansed what they could not. Inside the body, fire also dwells. It is the warmth of blood, the spark in the cells, the energy that resists decay. Ancient texts describe this as the inner flame, the guardian of vitality. When illness appeared, it was said that the flame had dimmed, and words of power were used to reignite it. The grimoire teaches that to heal is to honor both outer and inner fire. To sit before a flame and speak aloud what you wish to release is to enact sacred alchemy. The fire listens, consumes, and transforms. In its crackle you can hear the echo of your own spirit, remembering its strength. Imagine a fire before you now. Watch how it dances without fear, how it consumes without hesitation. Whisper into it the weight you no longer wish to carry. See the flames rise, brighter as if answering your voice. As the smoke lifts, imagine your burdens vanishing into light. Fire teaches courage. It shows that endings are not losses, but openings. The tree consumed becomes heat. The coal consumed becomes light. The illness consumed becomes renewal. To resist fire is to resist change. To trust it is to step into the rhythm of death and rebirth that sustains all things. Every tradition guarded fire rituals for cleansing. From the hearths of homes to the eternal flames of temples, fire stood as the guardian of purity. It did not judge, it only transformed. And so those who honored it found renewal not only in body, but in spirit. Let this truth ignite within you. The purifying flame is not only outside, it burns within your chest, ready to dissolve fear and awaken strength. When you remember this, no shadow can linger. Fire, eternal and faithful, waits to answer your call. Tonight, let its light cleanse you completely. Chapter 7. Earth, the restorative ground. Beneath your feet lies the oldest healer of all, the earth herself. She has carried the weight of every generation, absorbing grief, joy, blood, and prayer. To touch the soil is to touch memory, for the ground remembers what humanity forgets. Every step you take is upon a living archive of wisdom. The ancients knew this and bowed before her quietly. Herbs, roots, and clay were more than tools, they were extensions of her body. Wise women whispered gratitude into leaves before plucking them. Shamans laid offerings in the soil before harvesting roots. They believed plants listened, and in that listening, their medicine deepened. The covenant was clear: take only with reverence, and healing would answer. The grimoire speaks of earth as mother and physician. Clay was placed upon wounds, mud upon fevered brows, soil upon aching limbs. Each carried minerals charged with her quiet power. But the true medicine was not only in the substance, it was in the bond between human and ground, soul and soil. To stand barefoot upon the earth is no trivial act. It discharges sorrow, it draws in stability, it aligns your rhythm with the heartbeat of the planet. Every pulse of the earth is magnetic nourishment. She steadies what trembles, she anchors what drifts. Healing often begins not in herbs, but in the simple act of touching her. Stories tell of wanderers who, lost in despair, lay upon the soil and found peace. They said the earth listened like a mother who does not interrupt. She absorbed pain without judgment, and in return gave back quiet strength. Many rose from her embrace renewed, their burdens dissolved into her endless patience. Modern wisdom now studies what was once obvious, that the earth grounds the human body. Its electrical field resets the nervous system, calms inflammation, restores balance. What science names earthing, the ancients called communion. And the grimoire reminds, connection to earth is not an idea, it is a practice. Imagine kneeling upon soft ground. Place your palms against the soil and feel a subtle hum rising. Whisper into her the weight you can no longer carry. Trust that she will take it without protest, turning heaviness into quiet renewal. She has done this for centuries, and she does it still. Earth teaches patience. Mountains are not rushed, rivers are not hurried, stones are not anxious. To align with her rhythm is to slow into wholeness. Healing is not instant, it is steady, layered, eternal. The earth shows that restoration is not forced, but unfolds naturally when time and care are given. So tonight, remember your body was shaped from dust and will return to dust. Between those two mysteries lies the gift of being held by her ground. Trust her, lean upon her, let her restore what you thought was lost. The earth is not separate from you. She is your first and final healer. Chapter 8. Air, the carrier of prayers. The invisible always seemed ordinary until one listened. Air moves unseen, yet it is the messenger that unites worlds. Every exhale you release does not vanish. It joins the great current, carrying your words farther than your ears can follow. The ancients knew this and spoke into the wind as if speaking into eternity. In deserts, priests lifted chants into swirling gusts, believing the wind would deliver them to the gods. On mountains, shamans released sighs of grief, trusting the breeze to carry them beyond sorrow. The air was not background. It was participant, a living bridge between human voice and unseen realms. The grimoire teaches that no word is ever lost. Once spoken, it becomes part of the atmosphere, woven into currents that circle the globe. Every blessing remains in motion, every curse lingers as echo. This truth makes the tongue powerful, for what you breathe out becomes part of the collective sky. Consider the way air responds to sound. A single vibration ripples outward, never contained. Even the quietest whisper alters the currents. Your body is constantly exchanging with this vast network. Oxygen received, carbon released, words carried. You are both sender and receiver, both listener and speaker in the choir of air. Healers honored this current by speaking aloud instead of holding silence within. They knew the unsaid had less strength than the declared. Words must be breathed into existence to live. Air embraced them, expanded them, and released them into the great unseen archive. Silence was seed, but air was motion. Imagine now the air around you shimmering, alive with memory. When you whisper gratitude, feel the current carry it beyond walls, beyond night, into the vastness. When you declare healing, know the breeze delivers it to every corner of your body and beyond. Air does not judge, it only carries faithfully. Cultures everywhere use smoke as a visible form of prayer. Incense, sage, and resins rose into spirals, revealing what is usually unseen. The smoke was the body of breath, the tangible sign that air carried intention upward. The grimoire reminds that each spiral is a symbol of words in flight, endless and eternal. Air also reminds us of impermanence. You cannot hold a breath forever. You must release it. In release comes trust. In trust comes renewal. Every prayer sent into air requires surrender. Once spoken, it belongs not to you but to the currents, where it will reach places you cannot. So breathe with awareness tonight. Let every word ride upon the wind as offering, as song, as blessing. The carrier of prayers surrounds you always, listening, receiving, delivering. You are never unheard, for the air remembers every syllable, and in its currents your healing is already on its way. Chapter 9. The Inner Temple of Silence. There is a chamber within you where no sound enters, no thought intrudes, and no fear survives. This is the Temple of Silence, the place older than language, deeper than memory. The ancients entered this sanctuary before they dared to speak a single sacred word. For without silence, speech loses its root, and power becomes noise. The grimoire calls silence the soil of every vibration. Just as seeds require darkness beneath the earth to grow, words require silence to take shape. When you pause, when you wait, when you surrender into quiet, the body softens and the spirit rises. Silence is not absence, it is fertile presence. Healers would sit for hours in stillness before chanting. They believed silence purified their intention, stripping away ego and fear. Only from this emptiness could words emerge as medicine, free of distortion. In stillness, the speaker and the sound became one, and healing gained its true force. Imagine closing your eyes and stepping inward. Around you, thoughts fall away like leaves in autumn. The chatter softens, the tension loosens. In the hush, you begin to hear what was hidden, the pulse of your heart, the whisper of your soul, the song of your breath. Silence reveals what noise conceals. The body too responds to silence. Nerves calm, rhythm steadies, cells enter renewal. Scientists now affirm what mystics always knew: silence heals. It lowers the storm of the mind, restores the harmony of the heart, awakens the natural intelligence of the body. Quiet is medicine as potent as sound. The grimoire teaches that silence is not emptiness, but doorway. It is the gate where the visible and invisible touch. When you dwell in silence, you are standing at the threshold of creation itself. Here, the next word to be spoken is shaped, and here the body receives instruction from the unseen. Consider the rituals of fasting from speech found across cultures. Monks, shamans, seekers all embraced silence to refine their inner hearing. They knew that in the absence of outer words, the inner voice grew clear, and often that voice carried healing, guidance, and revelation far greater than any human teacher. Silence also teaches humility. It reminds us that not everything must be named, not every mystery explained. To dwell in silence is to acknowledge the vastness beyond understanding. And in that surrender, healing occurs, not because we control, but because we allow. So let silence hold you now, like a vast and gentle ocean. Rest in its stillness as if in sacred arms. Let it wash away the noise, the fear, the endless striving. The inner temple of silence waits always, patient and eternal. Step inside, and you will remember who you truly are. Chapter 10. The Forgotten Names of Light. Long ago, light was not only seen but spoken. Ancient tongues carried syllables that awakened radiance within flesh and soul. These names were never written in stone. They were sung, breathed, whispered into the air. Each carried a frequency that summoned vitality, as if calling the sun itself into the body. With time, many of these names faded into silence, waiting to be remembered. The grimoire tells us that light listens when it is named. To speak these forgotten words was to summon brightness into every shadowed place. They were not metaphors but codes, alive and responsive. Uttered with reverence, they unfolded like keys, opening the gates of energy within the human form. Healing began as illumination. Cultures across the world preserved fragments of this knowledge. In Egypt, priests spoke names to call the solar essence into the sick. In the Vedic chants of India, sacred sounds were aligned with fire and dawn. In Celtic rituals, light was invoked to guard and renew. Each tradition knew, naming light was not poetry, but invocation. Imagine your body as a temple of luminous chambers. Within each cell rests a spark waiting to be stirred. When these names of light are remembered, the sparks awaken, joining into a radiant current. You begin to glow not only in spirit, but in substance. The forgotten syllables weave brightness back into your design. The grimoire warns that these names are not to be spoken casually. They require stillness, reverence, and clarity of heart. Just as fire burns when mishandled, light overwhelms when invoked carelessly. Healing requires purity, for the names respond not only to sound, but to the intention hidden beneath it. Some initiates claimed they could see light weaving through the air when these words were spoken. Patterns like golden spirals filled the space, entering the bodies of the gathered. The ill were said to rise renewed, the weary restored. Whether myth or memory, the essence remains. Sound and light are one river. Science once again edges close to what was ancient truth. Biophotons, tiny bursts of light within cells, respond to emotion, to thought, to sound. The body is already luminous, already alive with subtle fire. To speak light is to direct that hidden radiance, to amplify what is natural, not foreign. The grimoire teaches a simple practice. Whisper the word radiance into your chest. Feel the body answer. Whisper illumination into your hands. Sense warmth stirring. Each phrase is a spark, and each spark grows when repeated. This is not imagination. It is your forgotten inheritance, awakening as you listen. So let the names of light return to you, not as history, but as living memory. Speak gently, speak with wonder, and the glow will rise again. You are never without brightness. You only needed to recall the syllables that call it forth. The forgotten names wait on your tongue, ready to restore you to wholeness. Chapter 11. Ancestral Whispers. Every lineage carries echoes that never die. The voices of those who walked before you still move in your blood, shaping rhythms you do not always understand. The grimoire teaches that healing is not only for the individual, it flows backward and forward, touching generations unseen. When you breathe with them. When you pray for them. In sacred gatherings, elders called upon ancestors before speaking words of power. They knew memory itself was medicine. By naming their forebears, they drew strength from an unbroken chain. Healing rituals were not private acts but conversations with the dead, where love became bridge and remembrance became cure. The whispers often arrived in dreams, subtle and persistent. A grandmother's lullaby heard in sleep, a father's voice offering counsel from beyond. These were not illusions. They were reminders that death does not silence devotion. Ancestors spoke through symbols, through winds, through unexpected thoughts that seemed to rise from nowhere. The grimoire says, to forget your ancestors is to silence part of your soul. Their songs lie encoded in your DNA, waiting to be awakened. Scientists now call this epigenetics. the inheritance of memory through biology. Mystics have always called it soul memory. Both point to the same truth. You are more than yourself. Imagine sitting in quiet and calling their names aloud or within. Notice how the air thickens, how warmth gathers in your chest. This is their presence, answering across time. To invite them is to open a gate where healing flows, not only into you, but into the line that continues through you. Across cultures, offerings were made to the departed: food, drink, flowers, fire. Not as superstition, but as dialogue. The ancestors were honored as guardians of balance. Their blessing was considered essential before any great act. The grimoire reminds that such offerings align you with gratitude, the foundation of restoration. When pain weighs heavily, remember it may not be yours alone. Generations pass on wounds as well as gifts. To heal yourself is to untangle knots tied long before your birth. In speaking words of love to your ancestors, you loosen those threads, allowing peace to flow where silence once reigned. The whispers carry guidance as well as comfort. They may urge patience, remind you of strength, or direct your steps when you feel lost. To listen requires stillness, humility, and openness. The ancestors do not shout, they murmur, but their murmur can move mountains if you choose to heed it. So open your heart to the chorus behind you. You are not isolated, not abandoned, not separate. You are the continuation of a song sung for centuries. The ancestral whispers are calling now, and in their call, you will find not only healing, but belonging that cannot be broken. Chapter 12. The power of repetition. The first time a word is spoken, it stirs. The second time, it sinks. The third time, it begins to weave itself into the body. Repetition is not redundancy, it is engraving. The ancients knew this well, for they chanted and recited until the sound became part of their breath, their marrow, their spirit. The grimoire explains that repetition is rhythm, and rhythm is life. The heart beats again and again, the lungs expand and contract without end. Nature itself repeats. Waves crash endlessly, the sun rises each dawn, the seasons return in cycles. Healing must follow the same law, not once, but again, until harmony is restored. Incantations were not whispered a single time. They were sung until the vibration etched itself into the air. Mantras were not suggestions, but codes, requiring persistence to unlock. With each cycle, the words grew heavier with energy, pressing deeper into the listener's being. This is why rituals lasted hours, sometimes days. Repetition carved permanence. Modern wisdom mirrors this truth. Affirmations work not by novelty, but by constancy. Neural pathways strengthen through repeated signals, reshaping thought and behavior. What science names reprogramming, the ancients named enchantment. Both describe the same mystery. What you repeat, you become. The words are seeds, and repetition is the rain. The grimoire urges, choose your repetitions wisely. Every complaint repeated becomes a curse. Every blessing repeated becomes a healing chant. You are always chanting whether you know it or not. The question is whether your chant restores or diminishes. Awareness transforms unconscious loops into sacred practice. Imagine sitting quietly, selecting one word of medicine: wholeness. Speak it once, twice, 10 times until it vibrates beyond your lips and into your bones. With each repetition, your cells lean closer, listening, aligning. The word becomes part of your breath, part of your blood. Soon, you do not say it. It says you. Communities once gathered to chant together, their voices merging into one river of sound. The repetition bound them as one body, carrying each individual beyond their own strength. Illness was lifted, sorrow dissolved, joy magnified. The power of repetition multiplied when shared, echoing through the collective field. Repetition also teaches devotion. To return again and again requires patience, humility, and trust. The quick seeker gives up after one attempt. The true initiate persists, knowing that depth is born from constancy. Repetition polishes the rough stone until it shines as crystal. Healing, too, is polished through this art. So remember this law. What you repeat, you become. Let your chant be pure. Let your words be kind. Let your rhythm be steady. The power of repetition is the path from thought to embodiment. In its cycle, healing ceases to be wishful. It becomes inevitable. Chapter 13. The Music of the Spheres. Above you, beyond the silence of night, there is music you cannot hear with ordinary ears. The ancients called it the harmony of the cosmos, the song of stars and planets moving in endless rhythm. They believed this hidden symphony shaped the tides of the ocean, the cycles of the body, and the balance of the soul. To live in tune with it was to live in health. The grimoire describes this cosmic song as a current flowing through all creation. Every planet, every star, every moon is an instrument vibrating in its own tone. Together they weave chords too vast for human hearing yet felt in the marrow. Those who attuned themselves could sense the music guiding their every breath. Mystics sat beneath the night sky, not just gazing but listening. They reported visions of colors turning into sound, notes that were also lights, rhythms that bent time itself. These visions were not fantasy, but initiation. They revealed the truth that harmony is the root of existence and dissonance is the source of suffering. Imagine for a moment that your body is an instrument, each organ a string, each cell a note. When aligned with the music of the spheres, the body resonates clearly, glowing with vitality. But when discord enters, through fear, resentment, or neglect, the song falters. Healing is the act of tuning yourself back to cosmic rhythm. The grimoire urges seekers to hum, chant, or sing not only for themselves, but as echoes of the larger song. Each tone you make is not separate. It adds to the universal harmony. The smallest sound, uttered with reverence, becomes part of the great celestial choir. You are not audience. You are participant. Science, too, brushes against this mystery. Frequencies from planets, measured by instruments, reveal audible patterns. Some call them space sounds, though they are vibrations rather than music in air. Yet they confirm what mystics always taught, that the heavens are not silent, and their voice moves through us constantly. Communities once designed rituals to mirror this cosmic music. Drums echoed the heartbeat of the earth. Flutes mimicked the winds of the sky. Voices lifted to join the unseen chorus. Healing was most powerful when aligned with these patterns, for the body remembered its place within the celestial order. To listen is to remember you are never separate. The same rhythm that turns the stars stirs your blood. The same harmony that carries planets carries your breath. When you attune to this truth, fear dissolves and strength arises. You are not small. You are woven into the infinite song. So tonight, let your silence become listening. Imagine the stars singing above, their voices shimmering as light. Feel the music threading through you, note by note, cell by cell. The music of the spheres has never ceased. It only waits for you to remember your place in its eternal choir. Chapter 14. The Hidden Geometry of Words. Every sound leaves a shape behind, invisible to the casual eye, yet etched in the fabric of matter. The ancients observed this through sand upon drums, through ripples in water, through visions in trance. They discovered that words do not vanish when spoken, they crystallize into geometry. Language is architecture, carving unseen temples around you. The grimoire explains that sacred syllables carry forms as precise as stars in constellations. A chant is not just heard, It is drawn in the air. Triangles, spirals, circles emerge from vibration, mirroring the structures of creation itself. When the body receives these shapes, it realigns to harmony, remembering the order woven into its design. Mystics often inscribed words as symbols, not for decoration but for resonance. Sigils, mandalas, glyphs, all were echoes of spoken frequencies frozen in image. To gaze upon them was to hear their sound in silence. To trace them was to call their vibration into flesh. Word, sound, and shape were never separate. They were one. Imagine speaking aloud a word of healing. See the air shimmer as it forms into pattern, perhaps a spiral of light, perhaps a lattice of stars. As your body stands within it, the geometry wraps around you, shifting what is crooked, balancing what is broken. You do not force the change, the pattern restores itself. Science now offers glimpses of this hidden truth. Cymatics reveals sound sculpting sand into intricate designs. Frequencies create mandalas more precise than human hand could draw. These images confirm what healers always knew. Words leave footprints. To speak is to sculpt. To chant is to build. To repeat is to fortify. The grimoire cautions that not all geometry brings balance. Discordant words birth fragmented forms, jagged and harsh. These distortions echo within the body, unsettling the cells. But words of compassion, gratitude, and love create harmony, soft curves and radiant symmetry. You live daily within the architecture of your own speech. Ancient healers taught disciples to visualize these patterns while chanting. The sound carried into the air. The image blossomed in the mind, and the body became the meeting place of both. Healing occurred when the geometry within matched the geometry without. The human was no longer isolated, but aligned with cosmos. This practice was not about control, but surrender. The healer did not invent the forms, they allowed them. The words themselves knew their shapes. The role of the speaker was simply to open, to witness, to trust that the vibration would complete its own design. In that trust, the restoration flowed. So remember, every word leaves a trace not only in the ear, but in the field around you. Speak with awareness, for you are always building. The hidden geometry of words surrounds you now, shimmering unseen, waiting to be shaped by your intention. Choose your words as you would choose stones for a temple. Chapter 15. Herbs and Incantations. Every plant is more than root and leaf. It is a vessel of listening. The ancients believed that herbs carried hidden ears, attuned not only to soil and sun, but to human voice. When healers approached them, they spoke softly, offering thanks before harvesting. Words were seen as keys that unlocked the deeper essence of the plant. Without them, medicine remained dormant. The grimoire reveals that the true power of herbs was never just chemical. It was vibrational, awakened by the chant that accompanied their use. A simple leaf, when blessed with intention, became a radiant ally. A root, when sung to, offered more than nutrition. It offered alignment. Language infused plants with spirit, elevating them beyond matter. Shamans often whispered to their bundles of dried herbs as if speaking to friends. They asked for guidance, for strength, for release of illness. In this exchange, the plant became partner rather than object. Healing was a conversation, not a transaction. The patient received not only the plant, but the dialogue woven around it. Imagine preparing a simple tea. Before pouring water, you murmur gratitude into the leaves. As steam rises, you whisper words of renewal. When you drink, it is no longer just infusion. It is a ritual. The herb carries the sound into your body, reminding your cells that healing is more than substance. It is relationship. The grimoire warns that neglecting this reverence weakens the medicine. To pluck without permission, to consume without gratitude, was seen as imbalance. Plants are alive with subtle awareness. They know when they are honored and when they are ignored. Healing responds not only to action, but to respect. Ancient temples often had gardens of sacred herbs tended with chants. Priests walked among them, singing into the leaves, infusing the air with vibration. When the time came to harvest, the plants had already absorbed months of prayer. In this way, the remedy was not born in the moment, it was cultivated long before. Science, too, now acknowledges the intelligence of plants, their responses to sound, their sensitivity to environment. What mystics described as awareness, researchers now measure in subtle reactions. Yet the essence remains unchanged. Plants respond, and words carried as vibration are among the oldest signals they receive. Consider this: every meal you eat carries plants, whether grain, fruit, or herb. Each is an opportunity to bless, to acknowledge, to converse. By speaking gently to what you consume, you elevate it from food to medicine. The act of eating becomes an act of healing, woven with intention. So hold close the truth that herbs are companions, not tools. Speak into them, sing into them, honor them as living bridges between earth and body. The incantations of old were not superstition, they were remembrance of relationship. And in restoring that bond, you awaken medicine hidden in plain sight. Chapter 16. Stones and Crystals. The bones of the earth hold secrets deeper than words. Stones and crystals were seen as keepers of ancient songs, silent yet vibrating with memory. The grimoire teaches that healers once placed them upon the body, not for beauty, but for resonance. Each mineral carried a voice, humming softly to restore balance. To touch them was to touch the earth's hidden pulse. Crystals were often spoken to as allies. Healers whispered prayers into quartz, amethyst, or jade, believing the vibration would be stored within. Like vessels, they absorbed words and released them slowly, radiating intention long after the chant had ended. In this way, stones became guardians of prayer, holding medicine in silence. Legends tell of travelers who carried a single stone for protection. It was not superstition, it was trust in resonance. The stone, charged with repeated words, became a companion of strength. Over time, it seemed alive, answering the one who carried it. The bond between human and mineral was intimate, unbroken. The grimoire insists that every stone has a frequency. Granite anchors, quartz amplifies, obsidian shields, turquoise restores. The healer's art was not in forcing power, but in listening, discerning which stone aligned with which wound. The match was not mechanical, it was relational. The stone chose as much as it was chosen. Imagine placing a crystal upon your chest. Speak into it softly. Peace, light, renewal. Feel it hum, not with sound, but with subtle vibration. Slowly, that resonance spreads through your body, as if the mineral were a tuning fork striking the chords of your soul. Healing begins as vibration meeting vibration. Communities once built altars of stone, arranging them in circles and patterns. These formations were not decoration, they were instruments, amplifying prayers spoken within. The stones listened, echoed, and carried intentions into the earth. Each circle became a temple of resonance, reminding those gathered of their bond with creation itself. Science now explores how crystals store information, from timepieces to technology. What mystics knew in spirit is confirmed in function. Minerals hold memory. If they can record signals of machines, can they not also hold the signals of soul? The boundary between myth and fact grows thinner. The grimoire cautions, however, that reverence is required. To treat stones as mere objects is to miss their essence. They are fragments of Earth's oldest body, shaped by fire, water, and time. To work with them is to join in that story, to remember the slow and patient healing of the planet. So keep this truth close. Stones and crystals are not lifeless. They are quiet companions, waiting for your voice, your touch, your trust. Speak into them, and they will answer. Carry them, and they will protect. Rest with them, and they will restore. In their silence, they hum with the memory of eternity. Chapter 17. The Sacred Sleep. When the eyes close and the body yields, a hidden gate opens. Sleep is not escape. It is passage. The grimoire describes night as the womb of transformation, where the conscious mind loosens its grip and the deeper self awakens. In these hours, words spoken or whispered take root more quickly. Healing slips through the cracks of dreams. Ancient healers blessed the sleeping, placing chants upon their breath as they rested. They knew that at night, the body listens without resistance, receiving vibration like dry soil receives rain. The patient did not need effort, they only needed surrender. Dreams became fertile ground for medicine carried in sound. The body itself honors sleep as sacred. Cells repair, tissues restore, the nervous system rebalances. What herbs or hands cannot fully achieve, rest completes. The ancients called this the healer's greatest ally, for without sleep, no remedy held. Night was not weakness. It was initiation into renewal. Imagine lying in stillness as words of light hover above you. With each inhale, they drift inward, bypassing doubt, bypassing logic, weaving directly into marrow. You do nothing but rest, and yet the vibration moves deeper than waking hours allow. Healing comes in silence, unnoticed until morning. The grimoire reminds, do this for 3 nights, and the seed will grow. Repetition across sleep magnifies effect, for the subconscious does not resist. It accepts without question, planting phrases as truth. Where the waking mind argues, the dreaming mind agrees. This is why sacred sleep was considered a holy ritual. Communities once gathered to sing around the resting. Their chants circled the sleeper, forming a cocoon of sound. By dawn, many awoke with new strength, as though their very cells had been rewritten. Healing was not only individual, it was shared, multiplied through the voices of others while one rested. Science now confirms the wisdom. Sleep strengthens memory, restores immunity, balances hormones, repairs tissue. The mind rehearses and rewrites experiences in dreams. What mystics called medicine of the night, scholars now call deep restoration. Yet both speak of the same truth. Night heals more than it hides. When rest is neglected, even the strongest words falter. The body struggles, the spirit weakens, and clarity fades. The grimoire warns that to deny sleep is to deny the temple of healing itself. To surrender is not laziness, it is devotion to the natural rhythm of life. So as you lay down tonight, treat sleep as ceremony. Whisper a blessing before drifting. Invite the words you long to embody. Trust that the night will do its work. Sacred sleep is not absence, it is medicine. And in its quiet, the body remembers its wholeness once again. Chapter 18. Dreams as medicine. When the night deepens and the body surrenders, dreams arrive as healers cloaked in symbols. They are not random flickers of mind, but messages from the unseen. The grimoire calls dreams the pharmacy of the soul, where images replace prescriptions and stories replace pills. To neglect them is to throw away letters written by your own spirit. Ancient shamans taught their people to listen to the dream world as carefully as to the waking one. A dream of water might signal purification. A dream of flight could whisper release. A dream of light might foretell renewal. These visions carried instruction, guiding both the healer and the patient toward balance. Dreams were teachers, not illusions. Healers often planted words into the sleep of others. They spoke affirmations over the resting, shaping the dreamscape with intention. The sleeping one would awaken with clarity, as if the night itself had counseled them. Healing was not forced upon the body, it was woven into stories the soul could accept. The grimoire reminds us that the subconscious does not resist. What enters dreams seeps into the roots of being. Night after night, the images repeat and the lesson strengthens. Slowly, the body and mind follow the pattern, reshaping reality according to the symbols carried in slumber. Healing begins as dream, then becomes flesh. Imagine closing your eyes and stepping into a vast hall filled with doors. Each door leads to a dream, each dream to a medicine. Behind one, you find release from sorrow. Behind another, you meet an ancestor offering guidance. Behind another, you drink from a cup of light. Every dream is a gift waiting to be unwrapped. Cultures across the earth honored dreams with ritual. The Greeks sought cures in temples of Asclepius, where patients slept and awaited healing visions. Indigenous tribes shared dreams at sunrise, interpreting them as messages for the community. For them, dreaming was not private. It was a collective resource, guiding the tribe toward health and harmony. Modern science confirms that dreams repair and reorganize. They process memory, regulate emotion, and weave meaning into chaos. What scholars describe in clinical terms, the ancients knew in poetry. Dreams heal. The body, the brain, and the spirit collaborate in the night to restore what daylight cannot. The grimoire offers this practice. Before sleep, whisper an intention into the dark. Ask for healing, ask for guidance, ask for remembrance. Trust that the dream will carry your words into story. Upon waking, record what you recall, however small. These fragments are medicine disguised as metaphor. So tonight, treat your dreams as sacred companions. Enter them not as prisoner of mind, but as seeker of wisdom. They are the healers who arrive when all else grows quiet. Dreams as medicine do not merely soothe, they transform. And in their mystery, the soul remembers its ancient pharmacy. Chapter 19. The Circle of Protection. Every sacred work began with a circle. To step into its boundary was to step into safety, into a space where no harm could intrude. The grimoire describes the circle as the first architecture of healing, a geometry older than walls or temples. Within it, the vulnerable became strong, and the broken found courage to open. The ancients believed the circle mirrored the cosmos. The sun, the moon, the planets, all moved in roundness. By forming a circle upon the earth, healers echoed this celestial design, aligning human ritual with universal order. To stand inside was to be reminded that you too belong to the great pattern. Words were always spoken to seal the circle. Incantations rose like invisible walls, weaving sound into structure. Some used fire at the edges, others used stones, others still drew lines upon the soil. Yet in all cases, it was the spoken blessing that transformed space into sanctuary. The circle listened and it closed. Within this boundary, healing rituals unfolded. Herbs were prepared, chants were sung, dreams were shared. The circle held not only the patient but the community, a reminder that no one heals alone. Those who entered felt lifted, supported by the unseen as much as by the living voices around them. The grimoire cautions that protection is not about fear but about preparation. Just as seeds need soil, healing needs safety. Without the circle, energy disperses, intention weakens, and vulnerability becomes exposed. The circle is not barrier, it is container. It holds the sacred fire steady until transformation completes. Imagine drawing a circle of light around you now. With every breath, see its boundary strengthen, shimmering in golden radiance. Whisper into it, I am safe, I am whole, I am protected. Feel the shift in the air, subtle yet undeniable. What was scattered gathers, what was fragile becomes firm. Communities once danced their prayers in circles, moving clockwise to call in life, counterclockwise to release burden. Children learned to play in circles, elders to pray in them, healers to cure within them. The roundness itself was teacher, endless, without edge, without beginning or end. All was contained, all was connected. Science observes similar truths in nature. Cells form in spheres, planets orbit in circles, even atoms spin in roundness. The pattern is everywhere, reminding us that the circle is not invention, but reflection. Healing aligns with this universal geometry, rejoining the human body to the law of the cosmos. So whenever you feel fractured, remember the circle. Envision its luminous boundary, call upon its ancient protection, step inside its embrace. The circle of protection has never ceased. It waits to be formed again and again. And within its center, healing can unfold without fear, sheltered by the geometry of wholeness. Chapter 20. The Word Made Flesh. From the first breath of creation, word and matter were never separate. The grimoire reveals that language is not only sound, it is substance, shaping the clay of existence. To speak is to sculpt. To declare is to build. Every syllable is a seed that finds its way into the body, flowering as experience. Ancient healers knew this mystery well. They spoke blessings over wounds and watched flesh mend faster. They spoke to the unborn, weaving words of hope into the child's spirit. They blessed crops, rain, and animals, believing their voices carried force into matter. Words were more than ideas. They were commands written into the world. The body listens most closely. Every thought repeated, every phrase believed, becomes instruction to your cells. Whisper, I am weak, and weakness grows. Whisper, I am whole, and the body responds with resilience. This is no illusion, it is resonance, the echo of vibration translated into tissue and bone. The grimoire reminds, it's not your thoughts, it's your agreement with them. When you align with words, they move deeper, taking form in you. You are not separate from what you speak. The word becomes flesh, and the flesh becomes the living testament of language embodied. Imagine holding your hands upon your chest. Speak softly. I am light. Feel the subtle warmth rise beneath your palms. Speak again. I am whole. The vibration enters, weaving itself into the unseen fabric of your body. With every repetition, the words shift from sound into substance. Communities once gathered to chant for the sick, their voices weaving a net of sound around the body. Slowly, the patient felt lifted, as though new strength were entering from all directions. The words spoken by many became flesh renewed, not only in the one who received it, but in all who gave. Even science admits the mystery. Placebos, belief, affirmation, all reveal that expectation shapes biology. The body heals more swiftly when words of hope are present. What mystics knew in reverence, medicine now confirms in data. Flesh responds to word, as it always has. The grimoire warns, however, of careless speech. Words of anger, fear, or despair are no less potent. They also become flesh. To curse oneself is to carve wounds into the unseen. To speak harm is to seed disease. This is why the ancients guarded their tongues, speaking only with intention. So let your language become luminous. Let every phrase carry the weight of creation, every word a thread of light weaving into your being. The word made flesh is not history. It is happening now. You are both speaker and creation, both tongue and temple. Speak with reverence, and watch your body remember wholeness. Chapter 21. The Healing of Wounds. Every cut upon the body is more than torn flesh. It is a message. The ancients believed that wounds were moments where the veil thinned, where life itself called for remembrance of wholeness. The grimoire explains that healing is not invention, but return, a regathering of the body's original pattern. To address a wound was to remind the flesh of its divine blueprint. Healers spoke into broken skin as if coaxing it back to memory. They laid hands gently, whispering chants that told the body, "You are not broken, you are only waiting." Herbs and oils accompanied the words, but it was language that awakened the deeper power. Every syllable carried the authority of restoration. Stories tell of bones that set more swiftly when songs were sung over them, of scars that faded when prayers were breathed daily. Rituals combined touch, sound, and intention, weaving body and spirit into alignment. Healing was not seen as a miracle, but as a natural law called forth by voice. The grimoire insists that wounds are temporary illusions. Beneath the torn surface, the body already knows how to knit itself. Cells rush to the breach, guided by a memory older than birth. Words spoken in harmony accelerate this remembering, like music urging dancers back into rhythm. Healing is the body's song reclaiming its flow. Imagine placing your hand upon an old scar. Speak softly. Return, restore, renew. With each repetition, feel warmth rising beneath the skin. The scar does not vanish instantly, but a subtle pulse answers, as if the body leans closer to listen. This is the power of language joined with touch. Communities once gathered when someone was wounded. They circled the injured, chanting in unison, their voices forming a cocoon of sound. Within that circle, the one who suffered no longer felt isolated but supported by the strength of many. Healing became not only physical repair, but restoration of belonging. Even in battle, warriors carried charms of words inscribed upon cloth or carved into wood. They believed the blessing would guard their bodies from harm or speed recovery when injury came. Such practices were not superstition. They were trust in the living vibration of sound and symbol. Science, too, observes how belief shapes recovery. Patients who expect healing often mend faster than those who despair. The mind's conviction translates into cellular effort, what modern medicine calls placebo. The ancients revered as sacred word, the spoken command that turned possibility into flesh. So see every wound not as defeat, but as an invitation. It is the body asking to remember itself, the spirit calling to be heard. Speak into the broken places with tenderness, chant wholeness into what feels undone. For in truth, you were never shattered. The healing of wounds is only the return to your eternal design. Chapter 22. Healing of the Heart. There are wounds unseen that cut deeper than blades. The heart carries them silently, hidden beneath smiles and silence. The grimoire teaches that emotional pain is not lesser than physical, it is equal, sometimes heavier. To ignore it is to allow the body to ache without knowing why. To honor it is to open the door to renewal. Ancient healers sang to the grieving. Their chants were soft, woven with compassion, like hands wrapping the soul in warmth. They knew sorrow needed sound, not silence. Words of comfort were not explanations, but vibrations of tenderness, restoring harmony where love had been broken. Healing began when pain was allowed to breathe. The heart listens differently than flesh. It does not respond to force but to gentleness. A harsh word tightens it. A kind phrase loosens it. The grimoire reminds that love is the strongest vibration, able to mend fractures no hand can touch. To speak love aloud is to place balm upon unseen scars. Communities honored heartbreak with ritual. Fires were lit for the bereaved, circles formed to sing grief into the night. Tears were welcomed as sacred offerings, not shamed or silenced. In these gatherings, sorrow was not carried alone but shared, dissolving its weight through collective compassion. Healing of the heart was a communal act. Imagine whispering to your own chest now. You are safe. You are loved. You are whole. Feel the tightness ease, the rhythm soften. The words do not erase loss, but they call forth strength beneath the ache. Each syllable becomes a hand upon your heart, reminding it that it can beat without fear. The grimoire warns against holding bitterness. Resentment calcifies, hardening the heart until light cannot enter. To release does not mean to forget, it means to unchain. Forgiveness, whispered again and again, unties knots of pain and allows breath to return. This is not weakness. It is alchemy of freedom. Legends speak of healers who could sense the heart's cracks by listening to its rhythm. They pressed their ears against the chest and sang directly to the pulse. Slowly, the beat steadied, as if the heart itself remembered joy. Such rituals were proof that music and compassion together are medicine. Modern understanding echoes this truth. Stress, grief, and loneliness weaken the body, while love and connection strengthen it. Science describes hormones and nerves, but the mystery is the same. The heart thrives when surrounded by tenderness. Healing is not abstract. It is physical, emotional, and spiritual alignment. So let your heart be spoken to with kindness. Offer it words that soften, words that remind, words that restore. Do not rush its healing. Sit with it, sing to it, honor it. For the healing of the heart is not quick, it is sacred. And when it remembers love, the whole body follows. Chapter 23. The Song of the Healer. In every culture, the healer's voice was considered sacred. Not only the herbs in their satchels or the stones in their hands, but the very sound rising from their throat. The grimoire declares that healing is carried on breath shaped into melody. A healer's song was more than music. It was vibration woven into flesh and spirit. Elders taught apprentices that tone mattered more than words. A single sustained note could soothe fever, while a gentle hum eased pain in the bones. The song was not performance, it was communion. The healer did not sing to impress, but to align. Through the song, the body remembered harmony. Legends speak of nights when villages gathered in silence as a healer began to sing. The melody would rise like smoke, filling the air with a presence beyond human. Some swore they felt light move through them, others wept without knowing why. The song touched what language could not. The grimoire insists the voice is the oldest instrument, crafted before flutes or drums. Every throat carries this tool, yet few remember to use it. You do not need training to hum softly into your own body. Even a whisper, when offered with intention, carries vibration strong enough to awaken the cells. Imagine humming now, low and steady. Feel how the vibration travels through chest, throat, and skull. Notice how calm begins to bloom. This is the body responding not to thought, but to resonance. In such moments, you are both healer and healed, both singer and listener of your own medicine. Communities often wove many voices together, each person carrying one part of the song. When combined, the melodies formed a net of light around the sick. Alone, a voice may seem fragile. Together, they became a river of strength that carried all present into balance. Song was never only personal, it was collective. Science today observes how music reduces pain, lowers stress, restores memory. Heartbeats synchronize to rhythm, brainwaves soften to melody. What healers once described as magic, researchers now measure as vibration. Yet behind both explanations rests the same truth. Sound shifts matter, and song heals. The grimoire warns that careless use of voice also carries weight. Words spoken in anger or despair can wound as deeply as blades. To sing consciously is to wield fire with reverence. Healing songs must be born of compassion, for only love can weave vibration into true restoration. So let the healer's song rise within you. Sing softly to your body, sing gently to your scars, sing kindly to your heart. You are the instrument, and your voice is the prayer. The song of the healer was never meant to vanish. It lives wherever breath becomes melody. Chapter 24. The Forbidden Rites. Not every practice was shared with the crowd. Some rituals were guarded, whispered only in hidden chambers where the unready could not enter. The grimoire speaks of rites so powerful they carried both healing and harm within them. In the wrong hands, they twisted into poison. In the right hands, they restored what seemed beyond hope. The ancients drew lines between sacred use and reckless ambition. Words, when spoken with greed, became curses rather than cures. Symbols, when carved without reverence, invited chaos instead of balance. These forbidden rites were withheld not to hoard power, but to protect life from misuse. Knowledge demanded purity of heart. Legends tell of seekers who forced their way into these mysteries. They chanted without guidance, summoned forces they could not command, and suffered for their arrogance. Their stories were remembered as warnings. Not all doors should be opened, not all fires touched. Power without humility consumed those who sought it. The grimoire warns that sacred speech is not neutral. To speak is to send ripples through the unseen, ripples that do not ask permission to return. This is why the elders insisted on preparation, silence, fasting, prayer, before attempting any great invocation. The rite itself was not dangerous. The unready heart was. Imagine standing before a flame and uttering words you do not mean. The fire flares, but it is not warmth, it is warning. The vibration answers your lack of alignment, mirroring back the chaos within. Such is the law of forbidden rites. They do not punish, they reveal. Communities protected these practices by secrecy. Only initiates who proved devotion were entrusted with them. Tests of patience, trials of compassion, years of discipline prepared the seeker to carry such responsibility. The hidden was not hidden forever. It was hidden until the student became worthy. Modern life often craves shortcuts, quick access to power without preparation. Yet the grimoire insists, what is rushed becomes distorted. Sacred words cannot be treated as tools to bend reality for desire alone. Healing is not control, it is covenant. To forget this is to step into shadow. Even science echoes the warning. Energy without direction becomes destruction. Electricity warms or burns, medicine heals or harms, technology builds or destroys. The ancients knew the same law applied to words. Power amplifies intention, and intention must be purified before release. So let the forbidden rites remind you. Reverence matters. Approach sacred practice with humility. Align your heart before your tongue. Cleanse your motive before your chant. Then what was once forbidden may become revealed, not as danger, but as gift. The mystery is not locked against you. It waits for your readiness. Chapter 25. The Teacher Within. Every seeker eventually discovers that the greatest guide is not outside, but within. The grimoire calls this inner presence the hidden physician, the eternal teacher of the soul. Others may awaken you, but only your own voice can finish the lesson. Healing begins when you stop searching endlessly and start listening deeply. Ancient healers reminded their students that external rituals were mirrors, not masters. Herbs, chants, and circles of protection only pointed toward the truth already alive inside. To rely solely on the outer form was to remain half awake. The true medicine lay in the ability to hear the whisper of the inner guide. Legends tell of wanderers who sought wisdom across deserts and mountains only to find it waiting in their own hearts. The teacher within spoke in intuition, in sudden clarity, in quiet knowing. It never shouted, it nudged. Those who learned to trust it found healing no temple or priest could fully give. The grimoire instructs that this teacher speaks in many languages: a dream at night, a stirring in the chest, a still voice when decisions weigh heavy. Too often, the noise of the world drowns it out. Silence, patience, and reverence clear the way. The inner healer waits, but will not compete with chaos. Imagine closing your eyes and asking a question aloud. Do not rush for an answer. Instead, notice the subtle shifts. Perhaps a feeling of warmth, perhaps a thought repeating, perhaps only calm. This is how the teacher within replies, not always with words, but with resonance. Communities once taught children to pause before action, to listen inward before speaking. They believed the inner voice was a fragment of the divine, guiding each soul uniquely. Rituals only strengthened the connection. Without that voice, even the most sacred rite was incomplete. With it, even silence became holy. Science now speaks of intuition, the body's ability to know before the mind reasons. Signals flash through nerves, cells communicate beyond awareness. What mystics called the teacher within, researchers describe as inner intelligence. Different names, same truth. Wisdom lives in you already. The grimoire warns, however, that doubt is the great thief. To ignore the inner voice is to weaken it until it fades into background noise. To trust it is to amplify it until its guidance becomes unmistakable. The teacher within grows stronger with attention, like fire fed by breath. So honor that presence waiting in your depths. Let it guide your steps, heal your wounds, and remind you of your wholeness. The teacher within is not stranger. It is your truest self unveiled. And when you remember this, you no longer wander lost. You walk as one who carries the grimoire in their own heart. Chapter 26. The 7 Sacred Sounds. Across traditions, there is mention of tones older than language. The grimoire calls them the 7 sacred sounds, primal vibrations that thread through body, sky, and spirit alike. Each sound corresponds to a gate within, a resonance that awakens life where silence has settled. To utter them is to align with the architecture of creation. The ancients compared these sounds to rivers flowing through the human form. One nourished the heart, another stirred the lungs, another awakened the spine. Together they formed a symphony of wholeness. When even one tone was forgotten, imbalance appeared. Healing began with remembering the missing note. Chants across cultures echo fragments of these sounds. Monks, yogis, shamans, all used them, though names and forms differed. What united them was not meaning, but resonance. The sounds carried no need for translation. The body recognized them instinctively. They were spoken less with the tongue, more with the soul. Imagine humming a single tone, letting it rise from your chest. The vibration spreads outward, brushing against ribs, throat, and skull. Soon it feels as if your entire body has become an instrument. This is the hidden purpose of the sounds, to remind you that you are not audience to the universe, but participant in its song. The grimoire warns against treating them as tricks. The sounds are not tools to command reality, but invitations into harmony. To speak them without reverence is to reduce them to noise. Spoken with intention, however, they become currents of power flowing into every cell. They must be honored as living codes. Communities often chanted the 7 tones in sequence, weaving them into ritual. The vibrations filled the air, overlapping into chords of deep resonance. Those present describe sensations of light, warmth, and expansion, as though walls dissolved and only vastness remained. The 7 sounds opened a door into infinity. Science now observes how certain frequencies influence the body, slowing heart rate, easing pain, even reorganizing brain waves. While instruments measure vibrations, the ancients felt them directly, trusting the wisdom of resonance. Different languages, same conclusion. Sound alters matter, and sacred sound restores balance. The grimoire offers a practice. Hum 1 tone each day, letting it flow longer than feels natural. Do not force meaning, only surrender to vibration. In time, the body reveals which sound it craves, guiding you toward balance. Healing is not in effort, but in attunement. So let the 7 sacred sounds return, not as relics, but as living allies. Whisper, hum, chant, or imagine them within. Allow your body to resonate as the ancients once did, glowing with harmony. For when the 7 streams flow together, You remember yourself as both voice and universe, both echo and origin. Chapter 27. The Law of Harmony. Illness, the grimoire teaches, is not punishment, but dissonance. Just as a string out of tune distorts the melody, so too does imbalance disturb the body. Healing is not forced. It is the gentle act of retuning. The law of harmony states that everything in creation longs to return to balance, if only given space to do so. Ancient healers observed this law in nature. Rivers curved to find the sea, storms cleared to reveal the sun, night gave way to dawn without command. In the same way, the body sought health naturally, unless blocked by fear, anger, or neglect. Their role was not to impose, but to guide alignment. Chants and prayers were designed to resonate with the body's natural rhythm. A single phrase repeated in harmony with breath could soften pain and calm the mind. These were not magic tricks, but reminders. The sound acted like tuning forks, drawing the scattered parts of a person back into one song. The grimoire reminds, healing is permission, not conquest. You cannot wrestle yourself into wholeness. You can only allow the natural rhythm to surface. When the mind relaxes, the cells remember. When the heart softens, the body returns to flow. Harmony is not created, it is revealed. Imagine sitting quietly as a soft hum fills the air. The sound does not fight your tension, it surrounds it gently. Slowly, your breath steadies, your shoulders lower, your thoughts calm. Without effort, you feel a return to center. This is harmony at work, quiet, steady, irresistible. Communities once used drums to align the collective. Beating in rhythm, they felt their heartbeats synchronize. Soon the group moved as one body, sorrow lifted, joy spread. Healing was amplified not by complexity, but by simple rhythm shared. Harmony carried many voices into one vibration of peace. Science, too, affirms this law. Brainwaves entrain to sound, heart rhythms stabilize with music, stress lessens when balance is restored. Illness thrives in discord, wellness blooms in coherence. What data measures, mystics proclaimed, harmony is the natural state, and dissonance the temporary shadow. The grimoire cautions that harmony is not the same as silence. Dissonance must be acknowledged before it can resolve. To ignore pain is to bury it deeper. To face it with compassion is to invite it back into the circle of balance. Every sound, even harsh ones, has a place in the greater song. So let the law of harmony remind you tonight. You are not broken, only out of tune. With breath, with sound, with intention, you can return. Healing is not far. It is the music already written within you, waiting to be heard again. And when it plays, every part of you remembers its place in the song. Chapter 28. The Alchemy of Forgiveness. Among all medicines, forgiveness was seen as the rarest and most potent. The grimoire declares that resentment is poison, dripping slowly into body and soul. Left unspoken, it corrodes the heart, stiffens the spirit, and clouds the mind. Forgiveness, however, dissolves the toxin, transmuting bitterness into freedom. It is the alchemy that turns lead into light. Ancient healers required forgiveness before any ritual could begin. They asked the wounded to release grudges, even if only in intention. Without it, the vibration of healing could not settle, for the heart remained closed. They knew the body mirrored the soul. Knots within spirit became knots within flesh. To forgive was to untie. Stories tell of villages gathering to speak grievances aloud, followed by chants of release. Tears flowed, voices trembled. Yet, by the end, a great calm spread through the circle. Illness lifted, crops flourished, disputes ended. Forgiveness was not private. It was communal medicine, restoring harmony to all. The grimoire insists forgiveness is not about forgetting wrongs or excusing harm. It is about freeing oneself from chains that bind twice, the wound itself and the grip upon it. To forgive is to declare, I will no longer carry this weight. The act is liberation, not surrender. Imagine whispering forgiveness now, not only to others but to yourself. Speak the words softly. I release you. I release me. Feel the air lighten around you as if knots unravel in unseen chords. Forgiveness begins as sound but ends as space, opening room for light to enter again. Even science observes this mystery. Studies reveal that forgiveness lowers stress, strengthens immunity, and improves the heart's rhythm. The body breathes easier when grudges dissolve. What the ancients described as alchemy, researchers describe as biology. Yet both agree. The act transforms not only the spirit but the flesh. The grimoire teaches that forgiveness may take time. One whisper is often not enough. It may need to be spoken again and again until the heart softens fully. Each repetition is another stroke of fire upon lead, melting resistance into radiance. Persistence is part of the process. Some elders warned that the hardest forgiveness is toward oneself. Regret, shame, and guilt weigh heavier than any grudge against another. To heal, you must lift these stones from your chest. Forgive your missteps as you would forgive a child learning to walk. Only then can the soul rise unburdened. So let forgiveness become your alchemy tonight. Speak it as ritual, live it as practice, carry it as shield. What bitterness chained, forgiveness dissolves. And in its release you step into freedom, glowing not with anger, but with peace. The alchemy of forgiveness is the true philosopher's stone. Chapter 29. The Eternal Flame of Faith. Faith has always been the spark that ignites every word of healing. The grimoire teaches that without conviction, even the most sacred chant fades into emptiness. But when belief fills the sound, it burns like fire through the unseen, carrying vibration deeper than thought alone. Faith is the unseen fuel that transforms whisper into miracle. Ancient healers embodied certainty before speaking. They did not hope their words might work, they knew. That knowing gave weight to their chants, strength to their gestures, light to their rituals. Patients trusted because the healer trusted, and in that mutual faith, the body remembered. Faith multiplied as it was shared. Legends tell of lamps kept burning in temples through endless nights. These flames symbolized devotion, reminding all who entered that as long as the fire burned, hope endured. People came not only to see the light, but to feel it, to draw faith from its steady glow. The flame was external proof of inner certainty. The grimoire warns that doubt scatters vibration like wind breaks smoke. Words spoken without faith dissolve before they reach the body. Yet belief binds sound into substance, carrying it to the marrow. The body responds not to hesitation, but to certainty. Healing listens to conviction as much as to sound. Imagine closing your eyes and whispering, I am whole. If your voice trembles, the vibration weakens. But if you speak with fire, knowing it is true, every cell leans toward that flame. Faith does not wait for proof. It creates the conditions for proof to appear. In this way, faith shapes flesh. Communities once built rituals around collective belief. Songs, prayers, dances, all were designed to amplify trust. Alone, faith may flicker. Together, it roars. The gathered became like torches in a circle, their conviction merging into a blaze that consumed despair. Within such circles, impossible healings unfolded. Science too observes how belief influences recovery. Placebos heal not because they are empty, but because faith fills them. The body obeys expectation, reshaping itself according to belief. What mystics called fire of the soul, researchers call psychology. Yet both affirm the same truth. Faith heals. The grimoire reminds that faith is not passive. It is not waiting but embodying. To walk as though healed, to speak as though whole, to breathe as though renewed, this is faith in action, and action makes vibration tangible, giving body to conviction. So tend the eternal flame within, feed it with gratitude, guard it from despair, let it light every word you speak. Faith is the fire no storm can extinguish. With it, your words become radiant, your body remembers its song, and your soul burns with the eternal certainty of life. Chapter 30. The Gift of Gratitude. Gratitude has always been the key that unlocks abundance. The grimoire describes it as more than emotion. It is a frequency, a radiant vibration that reshapes the body and field alike. To give thanks is to align with the rhythm of life, affirming that all is already present. Gratitude heals by reminding the soul it is not lacking, but overflowing. The ancients began every ritual with thanksgiving. Before herbs were gathered, before chants were spoken, before circles were drawn, gratitude was voiced. They believed no medicine could flow unless appreciation first opened the way. The act was not courtesy, it was invocation, a summoning of balance through acknowledgement. Legends tell of healers who thanked the illness itself before releasing it. They bowed to pain as teacher, to sorrow as purifier, to wounds as reminders of resilience. By doing so, they removed fear's grip and allowed restoration to begin. Gratitude transformed enemies into allies, obstacles into doorways. The grimoire teaches that gratitude changes the body instantly. Words of thanks soften the nervous system, calm the pulse, and steady the breath. Cells respond to appreciation as flowers open to light. Where complaint tightens, gratitude relaxes. Where despair contracts, gratitude expands. Healing begins in the shift of perception. Imagine holding your hands over your heart and whispering, "Thank you." Not for perfection, but for breath, for survival, for this very moment. Notice how warmth rises beneath your palms. The body listens to these words, not as flattery, but as nourishment. Gratitude is received as medicine. Communities once gathered at dawn to give thanks for the sun, for rain, for the earth's patience. They sang songs of praise not because life was easy, but because gratitude made it bearable. The collective voice of appreciation lifted the spirit of the whole village. Thankfulness became protection as strong as fire or stone. Even science affirms the power of gratitude. Studies show it strengthens immunity, reduces stress, and rewires the brain toward joy. The ancients did not measure chemicals, they felt the shift in spirit. Different language, same reality. Gratitude heals not by addition, but by remembrance. The grimoire warns that gratitude is not reserved for the grand. To thank only when miracles arrive is to miss the constant medicine in small things. Each breath, each sip of water, each flicker of light is worthy of reverence. By practicing thanks in little moments, you train the soul to live in harmony. So let gratitude be your daily offering. Speak it in the morning, whisper it at night, weave it into your breath. Let it shine through wounds, through trials, through joys alike. The gift of gratitude is endless. It multiplies as it is given. And in its glow, your body and soul remember they were whole all along. Chapter 31. The Eternal Word. Every word spoken with reverence lives beyond its moment. The grimoire reveals that healing words are not bound to breath alone. They ripple outward, weaving through time and space. Like seeds cast into unseen soil, they germinate long after the speaker is gone. Once released, they cannot be undone. They live as echoes of eternity. Ancient healers trusted this law deeply. They spoke blessings over children, believing those words would guide them long into adulthood. They prayed for crops, convinced the sound would linger in the field season after season. They whispered into the air, knowing the words would travel farther than their voices. Legends recall chants sung for the dying, words meant not only for that moment, but for the journey beyond. These blessings accompanied souls into unseen realms, offering protection and light. The spoken word outlived flesh, carrying its resonance across thresholds. To heal with words was to heal across dimensions. The grimoire insists that words do not vanish but imprint. They enter the field. They vibrate in water. They lodge in memory. Even when forgotten by the mind, they continue to live in the body, the earth, the air. Sacred utterances are immortal, woven into the fabric of creation itself. Imagine now the prayers you have spoken. Though you may think they were lost, they still travel, circling like doves in flight. They return at unexpected times, answering in forms you may not recognize. No word of love, no chant of healing, no whisper of light has ever been wasted. Communities once gathered to record their chants not in ink, but in repetition across generations. Words carried by voices outlived scrolls or tablets, becoming living traditions. A blessing spoken centuries ago still hums in today's ceremonies. This continuity revealed the truth. The eternal word cannot be silenced. Even modern science hints at this mystery. Sound never disappears. It only disperses, traveling farther than ears can follow. Energy is never lost, only transformed. In the same way, sacred speech becomes energy that moves endlessly, altering matter in subtle ways long after it leaves the lips. The grimoire cautions that careless words also endure. To curse is to send distortion into the field, where it lingers until healed. This is why intention matters. Every utterance contributes to the eternal chorus. You are always adding to the symphony, whether with harmony or discord. So let your speech become luminous. Let every word you release be chosen with awareness, carrying blessing into time itself. Know that your prayers endure. Your healing chants ripple on. Your utterances of love will outlive you. The eternal word is your legacy, carved not in stone, but in vibration everlasting. Chapter 32, The Closing Blessing. The journey through the grimoire brings us here to the final invocation. The path of words, sounds, and silence now gathers into one stream. Healing is not promised as future. It is declared as present, complete within you already. The closing blessing is not farewell, but continuation. What begins here will ripple on. The grimoire calls upon breath first, the eternal prayer that never ceases. Inhale as gift, exhale as release. With each cycle, feel renewal moving through you. Breath reminds you that life is not earned. It is given freely, again and again. The air you breathe now carries the vibration of all you have heard. Water is summoned next, the faithful mirror of intention. Imagine its currents within you shimmering with light. Every drop responds to gratitude. Every stream bends toward harmony. Whisper thanks to the rivers in your veins and know they listen. Water becomes your healer, carrying vibration to every hidden place. Fire rises, crackling in the unseen. It does not burn in anger but in purification, consuming shadows without mercy, yet with compassion. See its flame clearing your path, igniting courage, and awakening strength within. Fire teaches that ending and beginning are one, and its glow now seals you in renewal. The grimoire invokes Earth, the mother beneath all. Feel her stability beneath your body, her patience anchoring your soul. She receives your heaviness without protest, and in return, she offers nourishment. Clay, stone, and soil embrace you as child, reminding you that you belong, that you are held. Air returns as messenger, carrying prayers outward into infinity. Every word spoken here tonight has joined its current, soaring where you cannot see. Know that your healing travels with it, touching places beyond your imagination. Air bears witness, ensuring that nothing spoken in truth is ever lost. The circle of protection forms once more around you. It shimmers with fire, breath, water, earth, and air interwoven. Within it, you are whole, you are safe, you are restored. Nothing harmful may cross this boundary. The circle does not end with this moment. It remains with you as you rest. The grimoire whispers its final reminder. You are not waiting for healing, you are embodying it. Every sound, every silence, every blessing has already taken root. Trust what has been spoken, for the eternal word cannot vanish. Its vibration continues to move through you night after night, breath after breath. So receive this blessing fully. Lay your burdens down, breathe with ease, and let sleep embrace you. Healing surrounds you, within and without, carried by elements, guarded by light. The journey closes here, but its song continues forever. You are whole, you are radiant, you are remembered. The path we have walked together now comes to its resting place. Yet, this is not an ending. It is a soft unfolding into silence, where the words continue to echo in your soul. You have heard the voices of the elements, the whispers of ancestors, the chants of healers long gone, and the resonance of your own breath. All of them converge here, reminding you that wholeness is not a distant hope, but a present reality. Feel the stillness around you as a sacred embrace. Within it, the grimoire's vibration continues, moving through your cells, your dreams, your spirit. Healing is not a task you must strive for. It is already alive within you, waiting for your agreement. Let gratitude rise as flame. Let peace settle as earth. Let renewal flow as water. Let courage expand as air. And let your breath carry it all into being. Before you drift into rest, I invite you to mark your presence in this journey. Leave your offering by writing the phrase, "I am whole in light," in the space where souls gather. In doing so, you declare your alignment, not only to yourself, but to all who walk this path beside you. The grimoire closes, but its blessing remains with you. Carry it gently, for you are already the healing you seek.